Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be diving into exclusive Call of Duty Vanguard gameplay details and information, as last week I was invited to a secret briefing for Vanguard by Activision where I learned about campaign, multiplayer, zombies and Warzone. And in this video I'm going to let you know everything about the game, including exclusive gameplay details, as I got to see over 10 minutes of raw gameplay. Lots to dive into, so make sure you've dropped a like on the video and subscribe for even more Call of Duty Vanguard content. But getting straight into things, Call of Duty Vanguard is a distinctly different take on World War II, not seen before, and is entirely separate from 2017's Call of Duty World War II. The game focuses on the perspective of 4 different characters in multiple theaters of war. It'll be releasing on November 5th on current gen consoles, last gen and PC, and will feature a campaign, multiplayer, extensive Warzone integration, and zombies. And I have an entirely separate video focused solely on zombies, which you can find linked below, which you should watch after this video. But what I'll say in this video is that Treyarch are officially leading development on zombies in Call of Duty Vanguard. Call of Duty Vanguard runs on the Modern Warfare engine and have integrated and improved technology with exciting, powerful new systems made specifically for Vanguard. Rather than make a sequel to 2017's COD World War II, they want to go for something completely different. A much broader view of World War II with multiple fronts and characters represented with combat in France, Germany, Russia, North Africa, and Japan. The game takes historical inspiration very seriously, and there isn't a revision of history, but they want to explore the character stories between the lines and the birth of modern special forces. Diving into multiplayer, the game will offer 20 maps on day 1. 16 of these maps will be 6v6 maps and are all styled to fit into the multiple fronts of the game. The other 4 maps are going to be 2v2, and all maps feel right at home with the core gunplay of the game, which the studio has spent a lot of time perfecting a new tactical gameplay approach. The gunsmith is returning for these weapons, and they're adding a few new categories such as custom ballistics and ammo types. Weapon mounting and weapon leaning are returning from Modern Warfare 2019, giving you an accuracy bonus as you fire your weapons, and you can also blind fire over the top of cover whilst you get a slight peek over it. And these are just 2 examples of additions to that core second gunplay that will be across all maps and modes. Another huge addition to this new tactical gameplay is reactive environments on every map, allowing your bullets to destroy individual boards in certain areas, windows, walls, and use them as temporary power positions. This is huge for Call of Duty, and it will change how multiplayer is played in Call of Duty forever, as the world will be modified by player action every single game. The studio are also adding a new feature to multiplayer called Combat Pacing, which will be across all maps and modes and allows the studio within a single playlist to deliver a very tactical experience with low number of players, where every movement, every round fired becomes an intimate experience, and every kill is super meaningful, where matches become real tense and sweaty. But on the other side, they have Blitz Combat Pacing, which maxes out the number of players in a game, and it's pure chaos across the board. If you enjoy getting multi-kills and accuracy by volume in target-rich environments, this is for you. And finally, they're introducing a new main multiplayer mode called Champions Hill. This mode is going to be unlike anything played before in Call of Duty, and it's essentially a combination of Battle Royale meets gunfight, plus power progression of weaponry across all format of play. And the fast and frenetic Champion Hill mode features a series of tournament-style head-to-head matches where players can solo or squad up in duos and trios to battle it out in an arena consisting of 4 maps to be the last squad standing. There's a lot more information to come on this mode in their multiplayer reveal. Touching briefly on Warzone, Raven are leading development of a brand new Warzone map coming this year, and shock horror, it will feature a new anti-cheat system across Warzone when the new Warzone experience launches. Hallelujah! Warzone will share the same tech as Vanguard for seamless weapon integration and operator play balance. There'll be an all-new metaverse connecting Vanguard, Black Ops Cold War, and Modern Warfare, and Vanguard together with Warzone will offer a massive calendar of 3 post-launch content. Jumping into the campaign and story, the narrative explains the birth of modern special forces. Vanguard begins at the end of World War II, where Berlin was falling, it was surrounded by the Red Army, and there were parts of the German leadership who were looking for ways to keep German ideology moving forward through a project called Project Phoenix. This is headed up by the main villain of the game called Heinrich Freitzinger, who is the director of the Gestapo, which was the official secret police of Germany and German-occupied Europe. With each of the characters in the game, although they're telling a fictional story inside of World War II, it was important they were rooted in history and authentic to the types of people that fought in the war, and that goes with the antagonist, who is based on a real-life person called Heinrich Müller, who was the director of the Gestapo. The Allies get wind of this project and assemble a team of special operators operators from different countries and armies to go into Germany at the end of the war and try to figure out what Project Phoenix was. And here is where we get introduced to our 4 main characters. The first being Sergeant Arthur Kingsley, who is the main British character inspired by the real British paratrooper Sidney Cornell. And we see at the end of the reveal trailer a brief few seconds of first-person gameplay that I got to see a full mission of, involving Sergeant Kingsley paratrooping into Merville Gun Battery the day before D-Day, and I'll talk more in depth about that and how the gameplay looked in a moment. The second character is the iconic Lieutenant Paulina Petrova. Sergeant Kingsley chooses to be part of his team and is inspired by a real-life woman called Ludmila Pavlichenko, who was known as Lady Death, for her incredible ability with a sniper rifle, who was credited with over 300 kills, making her the most successful female sniper in recorded history. Another member of the team is Captain Wade Jackson. He's an American fighter pilot who takes real-world inspiration from Vernon Mike McHale, who fought in Midway, known as the hero of Midway, for taking out 2 Japanese aircraft carriers, and also found himself fighting on the ground in the Solomon Islands. And the fourth and final member of the team is Lieutenant Lucas Riggs. He spent his time of the war fighting in North Africa. He comes from Australia, and he's based on the real-life soldier Charles Upham, who's often described as the most highly decorated Commonwealth soldier of that war. The Australians were known as the Rats of Tobruk, and they would run in along with tanks as infantrymen with just a sack of grenades, and they would be disruptive. This builds up the team of modern special forces, try and take down Heinrich Freisinger. Now, diving into the gameplay that I got to see was a portion of one of the early campaign levels, and for context, this takes place on the night before D-Day. British paratroopers are trying to drop in behind enemy lines and try to disrupt things, but things don't quite go as planned. We play as Arthur Kingsley of the British Airborne Division. You see the very beginning of this campaign mission at the end of the reveal trailer. That wasn't a cinematic or anything, that was actual in-game footage where we see Arthur jump straight out of a burning plane, and as he looks around, you can just see dozens of planes flying past. You see enemies on fire falling to the ground below him. As he's free falling down into the sky, you can see planes crashing together, spotlights whirring around, and you got this gritty, dark grey night sky. As you as a character try your very best to try and open your parachute in time by doing a quick time event. You open your parachute, but it's too late. You're already dived straight under the water. To your left, you can see a soldier drowning as his parachute is caught up with his neck, and you quickly cut off your parachute to be able to swim up to the surface. Now, I've got to be honest, the entire sequence looked absolutely jaw-dropping. It just looked so graphically good that you'd think that this was almost real life. It's just such an impressive sequence, and it felt almost like I was watching a movie, but from first-person perspective. Once your character makes their way to the surface, climb up onto the ground and take a deep breath while you look around to your surroundings, where you see a huge windmill in the distance. All you can hear is just a barrage of constant turret gunfire, as well as the sound of fighter planes flying overhead. And the mission starts out a bit like All Gillied Up. There are enemy forces everywhere, and you have to creep your way through a heavily dense forest while making your way through whilst not being detected by enemy soldiers. It's incredibly tense and reminded me of something from Slender, where there's just so many trees and so much forestry in your way. All that you really see is the blinding lights of a turret in the background, constantly firing shots every 5 seconds or so. As you get further up the forest, you hide behind a fallen tree to see a soldier in the distance. He gets immediately murdered by a German soldier, and you frantically run and stab them several times in the neck. An incredibly gruesome scene. A soldier then comes to run at you, and your character frantically grabs a Kar 98K lying on the floor next to him to fire back. As you proceed further up the field, there is just a plethora of soldiers driving past, vans, and you have to wait for them to pass by, which again felt very similar to All Gillied Up, in that moment where you have to prone and wait for those tanks and soldiers to walk right past you. The atmosphere remains very dark, grey and gritty. It's nighttime and you're crossing through the fields, but there are soldiers patrolling. You shoot the lantern out of one of their hands, setting them on fire and causing a little bit of a stir. Several soldiers are after you at this point, so you run into the bottom floor of this house and lock the door behind you. And in here we can see just beautiful volumetric lighting from the torches of these soldiers and the glints of their guns through the windows and under the floorboards above your character. And this is where we got to see the first of those reactive environments where our character knocks over a glass bottle, which the enemy instantly hear and start shooting the floorboards, and each individual piece of the individual floorboards start to fall apart. Our character moves up towards a staircase and slowly peek aims a door, which then starts getting shot at, and the door has literal physical holes in certain parts of the door where it was shot. Soldier firing at the door gets killed and has extremely forceful pushback animation where his body gets flung backwards towards the wall. And the force is so strong that it literally knocks over plates that are on a display cabinet behind him. It definitely sounds and looks like a typical blockbuster Call of Duty campaign with extremely over-the-top exaggerated animations here. This whole moment is just so tense, and the graphics add to it with the flashes of those gun turrets from the background just showing your shadow every few seconds. The mission then leads you to a door which slowly starts creaking open. You can tell that someone's behind it, and your character just bashes the door open and immediately fires the last round of his Kar-98 straight into this dude, who just hurtles backwards, and the force of that shot blows his body back, shatters the glass windows behind him. But you can see there's a few enemies in the distance, so you run back into the main room and you smash through the windows, and your character is now sprinting towards what can only be described as like a volcanic orange cloud of smoke in the distance. You turn around and you see the enemies have launched a flare up into the sky, so there's a massive beam of bright light, and it's up to you to just run towards that windmill that we focused on at the start of the mission. But at this point, the windmill is now on fire, and graphically this moment just looks incredibly impressive. The smoke, the embers, the ash, it just looks so real. You can see that there's a soldier stood in front of the windmill that you're pointing your Kar-98K at, and Sergeant Kingsley slowly walks up to him screaming "Flash, flash," to signify if they're friendly or not. And as parts of the burning windmill start to fall on the ground, we hear a gunshot and it fades to black, and that is the end of the campaign mission. Graphically, this game looks to be on par, if not even better looking than Modern Warfare 2019, which is no easy feat. This game really does look like a next-gen title. And the additions and changes that Sledgehammer have made to that Modern Warfare engine concentrated on visual fidelity, a photorealistic world, lifelike characters, and improved performance. But they've also worked on a ton of new features. Now, a lot of the explanation is very technical. One of the most noticeable things is a new persistent damage layer system, where damage to surfaces accumulate and persist over the course of a match. And that is in both campaign and multiplayer. And of course, one of the main pillars of the Call of Duty gameplay experience is running at a smooth 60 frames per second on consoles. And obviously, Vanguard is no different. All the new rendering features run at 60 frames per second on console, giving you low latency controls, and comprise the next step of the evolution of the Call of Duty game engine that debuted in Modern Warfare. As for my first impressions of the game from what I saw, I was thoroughly surprised. I wasn't expecting too much considering this is a World War II game, but we've not had one in a while, and I think what they're trying to do with this by having 4 different character perspectives sounds like a really interesting setup for this game. Graphically as well, it looks absolutely astounding, and also very cinematic as well, which is both a good and a bad thing. In terms of campaign, I think it's incredible that it looks so cinematic, that it looks like I'm watching a movie, but I'm worried that if it's too cinematic looking in multiplayer, then it just will feel a little weird, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. As far as Zombies and Warzone are concerned, they look at Vanguard and the overall content to be a more unified experience wherever you go across multiple modes in the game. They see it as a massive juggernaut of content to experience, and they want to make sure players can find what they want within Call of Duty Vanguard. I definitely think what they're doing with Zombies this year is absolutely the best scenario for us Zombies fans, and to have Treyarch working directly on Zombies in this game is just a dream come true. I'd love to know your initial thoughts about Call of Duty Vanguard in the comments below. Hopefully you found this video useful in just telling you everything you need to know about the game. I'd love to know what you think about the game in the comment section down below. But again, you guys know that Zombies is a massive part of the channel here, so we've made a full dedicated video to discussing everything we know about Call of Duty Vanguard Zombies, which will be linked on your screen now, as well as the reveal for the game inside of Warzone. I'll have plenty more coverage of Call of Duty Vanguard between now, its release, and beyond, so if you are new, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you for another video hopefully very soon.